Alright YouTube, what's up? I'm back. I'm not dead. But I'm in college, as you can see. But I'm not dead, so I'm gonna make a video on a very messy dorm bed. So the video is basically gonna be about this. If you've ever been scouring eBay for a cheap tablet, Windows tablet, not Android, you've probably come across these generic, no-name Chinese tablets. I bought one. When all was set, it was $240 list price, and I had like $25 in gift card left, so I paid like $211 or something like that with it. We'll get into the review later, but we'll show you what it came with. I think I still have the box here. Yep, here's the box. Very generic. It did come with a serial key for Office 2013. Has Windows 8.1, full licensed Windows 8.1 with Bing copy, 2 webcams, which we'll get into that later. The Microsoft Store, the infamous Intel Bay Trail processor, quad-core Atom. It's basically an Intel Atom, but it's quad-core. What else? But other than that, it's basically, it's just generic. Nothing's on the box. It came with a charger. This is a standard 2.1 amp switching power supply. It charges via micro USB. This is a BlackBerry USB cable because it's longer. I charge it in this drawer. But it came with, if I could find it, here it is. It just came with a little 3-foot micro USB. Nothing fancy. Seems pretty sturdy. The cable is not thin. Doesn't seem like it's gonna break. But I also went on eBay and bought like one of those cheap, generic tablet cases that works pretty well. But we're going to get actually into the tablet. So I have it off right now. We're powered on. As you can see, it just flashed American Megatrend, so it's got a name brand BIOS. I don't know how to get it to boot from a CD. And as you can see, it's already booted up. We'll get into the specs. But when I first got this tablet, the battery was stone dead. And it would boot up and immediately shut off, because the battery was so dead, and that caused the Windows OS to get corrupted. Luckily, I don't know how I was able to do it, but I figured it out. I was able to get everything to work properly. Like, drivers weren't working for some reason. Because of that time, it just shut down when it was setting everything up. And I can't figure out how to get this thing to boot from a CD. But we're going to go through now the physical aspects. That is an actual USB 3.0 port. You are seeing that correct. That's, honest to God, no fakes. USB 3, USB 2, 3.5mm headphone jack, micro, I think that's micro HDMI? Yeah, it's micro HDMI, micro USB, a mic, and a TF card slot. Now right now, I got a 16 gig SanDisk Class 10 SD card in there that came with my GoPro Hero 4, the black one, or the silver edition one. So I just threw that in here, but this tablet has 64 gigabytes of built-in solid-state flash, as well as 4 gigs, 4 gigs of RAM, and Intel HD graphics, as well as the quad-core Bay Trail processor. So, as you can see, it runs 8.1. You can either do a passcode, you can do a picture sign-in, I'll switch to, or a physical password or a passcode, like the iPhone. So we'll sign in. So you can see it boots up to the Windows 8 tiles. I have it arranged the way I want, and there is the actual Office 2013 suite that came with this. I had a licensed copy and everything. And you are seeing that correctly. I do have Lightroom and Photoshop CS6 on here. It does run them great. Not as well as the new MacBook Pro. but it does run them. The screen on this thing is absolutely beautiful. I think it's an IPS. It's a 10.1 inch IPS LED LCD. Open up minimized. Spotify's being an asshole. But we will go through, like, since it's not RT, you can run all your programs. Like, I got Chrome on here. That's another thing. That's the only downside to this is the actual Windows-based applications. Like, you can see the on-screen keyboard pops up, which this keyboard is beautiful, by the way. It's just a little laggy, but not really. But honestly, it wouldn't piss anybody off. Just me, I'm just really picky about that kind of stuff. But other than that, it's fine. You can pinch to zoom. It's got the multi-touch display, which is the flickering is just the way my iPhone 6 camera is picking this thing up. But we'll go through basics. I'm still getting used to this. Is my first Windows 8.1 device, because normally all my devices run Windows 7. The laptops, the desktops. I've tried 8.1 on them. To me, it feels like it's meant for touchscreen, and this is an actual button. It looks a lot like a Surface 1, but a lot thinner. The cameras, as I said before, I think they're like 2 megapixel each. They're not going to win any awards. They do work for basic video chatting. They are clear. I've seen a lot worse, believe it or not, especially for generic Chinese things. Speakers. This is another thing. It's got stereo speakers, but they are very tinny. That's on 100%. So they are tinny, but what do you expect? The tablet is thin as hell, so they're like netbook speakers. What else is there? PC settings. We have PC info. We have an Intel Atom CPU at 1.46 GHz, which is quad core, 4 gigs of RAM, 3 is usable, 32-bit operating system, even though it's a 64-bit processor. Windows 8.1 with Bing. Disk space. Left of the 64 gig, I have 30.7, and off of the SD card, I have 6.14 gigs. But other than that, this thing is a phenomenal tablet. It's quick. Windows 8 functions are nice because it's actually a physical touchscreen. Now, video playback. Again, flawless. I have a 1080p video that me and my friend shot at Anthrocon. Clear, crystal clear, no lag. Just a beautiful setup. For $240, you really can't beat this thing. Like a Surface, a basic one is like $500, and it's RT, I think. And also, they are live tiles. Like you see, you can turn the live tiles off, which I prefer to do. We'll do a Lightroom, just load up time. Just for shits and giggles. There. Lightroom's ready to go. Skip. I'm gonna back up my catalog because I got nothing on this one. That's all on my Mac. But otherwise, the battery life is amazing. Haven't charged it for 2 days, and 2 or 3 days, and I have 70% left on the battery. But again, I let this thing die like completely, and it did the shut off turn on thing. So you can't let this tablet die completely, because then the battery LED here will flash red when it's charging, which means it's too low. It glows red when it's charging and solid green when it's fully charged. But there's all the basics of it. It's a very sleek and slim tablet. and the tablet will turn, but I have portrait or have the orientation locked. My only complaint is the headphone jack isn't fully flush, so it doesn't affect anything like unpowered headphones like these. But when I was using my little headphone amp, if this was pushed up, it would ground itself and make a really horrible popping noise in the headphones. But again, I really don't expect, I didn't expect much for $240. But this thing is well beyond my expectations. It blew my expectations out of the water. It's lightweight, easy to carry, and especially functional. Like I was looking at one that didn't have any USB ports, 32 gigs of memory, and I think it had 4 gigs of RAM again, but it didn't have USB, didn't have, I don't think it had, it had HDMI, that was a reason, but it had USB OTG, which means you needed to carry on an OTG cable, blah blah blah. Here, you got them built in, which is why, again, the tablet is a little thicker, because it has to fit full-size USB ports, and again, a USB 3. And I'll show you that it is, in fact, a real USB 3.0 port, and not fake. Boom. We have an Intel USB 3.0 host controller. Boom. And it's all name brand chips in here. Like the displays, we have Intel HD graphics. The monitor, again, network devices, Broadcom, adapters, processors, blah blah blah. So it's all name brand. It's no like generic knockoff things. This does have Bluetooth in it. I'm trying to think of other things. Oh, charging time. That's the only thing I really hate about this tablet. Is the time it takes to charge from maybe 40% to 100%. It'll take almost like all night, at least like 5 or 6 hours, because it's only doing 2.1 amps at 5 volts. But again, the battery life is amazing. It doesn't get hot. It only gets hot around this region. YouTube playback again is amazing, depending on your Wi-Fi speed, and it's full Windows 8.1, so you can do whatever the hell you want. I got it hooked up to my printer over there via Wi-Fi, and it's just a sleek, stylish, and yet functional piece of equipment that happens to be generic and under $300. So that's my review of the Vani tablet.